Booktube, this is Kelly. Thank you so much for watching my channel, Books I'm Not Reading. Before I get into my reading updates, I just wanted to say thank you so much to everyone who has done my original tag, the I'm So Annoyed Booktube tag. And there are, I think, as of filming this, 69 versions that I found. Somebody else told me they're going to do it next week, so I'm super excited to see that. You guys have helped me so much get through my workouts, and I've loved listening to just all of these different versions of it. I've never had a tag, or an original tag, this successful on Booktube, so I'm just really getting a hoot out of it. So some of you got a little keyed up, a little ramped up. It's just the I'm so annoyed, not as one of you called it, the I'm so enraged Booktube tag. I'm so happy about the new channels that I've discovered, and yeah, it's just sort of unveiled a whole new universe of Booktube to me, and I'm really excited to see what happens on some of those channels. So, all right, I finished a book, and I mean, I've been talking about it for weeks now on my channel. I think I've been reading it for 2 months maybe. In just little bits and pieces, but it is a difficult topic for me to talk about, and that's the Calm the F Down. This channel is G-rated. Calm the F Down, How to Control What You Can and Accept What You Can't So You Can Stop Freaking Out and Get On With Your Life by Sarah Knight. The swearing thing, I think it just bothers me because I'm really susceptible to, if I hear someone use a word over and over again, like some of my videos are very heavy, but yeah, the swearing thing, if I'm around someone who's swearing a lot, I really have to work on it to not not pick up that habit, because unfortunately I have used that habit in professional settings, which has led to some disastrous outcomes. But anyway, it's just like her kind of gimmick, right? The swearing part. Like, she really does have just some good advice for those of us who, like, it's not anxiety or it's not a diagnosed mental health issue, okay? And she does a very good job of really trying to destigmatize people with mental health issues, people with anxiety issues, you know, talks about anxiety with the capital A. And so I really appreciated that about the book. You know, I mean, honestly, if you were to come across this book in a bookstore and you had some time, or you saw it at your library, like I said, you know, the beginning and the ending like have the best stories in them. So maybe you could just do that. There's a story involving an insect, and there's a story involving a cat, and they're both, I mean, it's got to be nonfiction, because if that wasn't a novel, like, no one would believe it. But really, she's just trying to help, like, the average person who, like me, overthinks and gets kind of worked up and gets, like, high stress levels about things that I don't have any control over. And so it was helpful for me, in the sense of being able to, you know, when I find myself getting kind of worked up about something, like, to recognize what can I actually control in this situation and what do I have no control over whatsoever. And there are so many things in life that we just don't have any control over. And we can spend a lot of time worrying about what we would do if something happened. And maybe there are some things that we can do ahead of time, but I'll tell you a couple of of my own personal stories. So when I lived in France, we were getting on the bus to go for like a whole weekend trip, and the bus was loaded and we were just standing outside waiting to get on, and a bird like pooped on me. And so, I mean, I cleaned it up the best I could, but I was like, this is what, like, like, it is what it is. I'm not gonna, like, I mean, I was in France, for crying out loud. Like, I'm kidding. Wait, what are the pros and the cons of this situation? The other story, that I tell sometimes is that, when I lived in New York City for a summer by myself, I was out, like, I just really walked all over Manhattan, that summer, and definitely walked into some shady neighborhoods. This was not one of those shady neighborhoods, but it was at night, and I was crossing the street and I couldn't see, like, it was dark, and I slipped and I fell in someone else's vomit, and like, to the point, like, I knew what they had eaten for dinner, and I'm like, I mean, I was a subway ride away from where I lived. So I go into this like convenience store, and I'm just like desperately begging for napkins to like try to wipe it off. I was wearing shorts, so it's vomit all over me. Those are things like we can't predict, we can't plan for, we can't we can't prepare for. And so when it happens, like, if you want to freak out, you can freak out, but at the same time, it's like, well, like, it doesn't do any good. I was a much calmer person then. Anyway, so, but I have really been thinking about a couple of you in particular over the last few weeks who are dealing with things that, were not in your life plan, like you didn't expect to happen. And, I'm not sure that Sarah Knight has the right advice for like those heavier life things that we're not planning for. But for those of us who maybe have anxiety with like just a lowercase a, like, it's a good book to help like kind of remind us and give us a little bit of perspective. Other reading updates. The Wind's 12 Quarters, which is a collection of stories by Ursula K. Le Guin. This is my brave, bold attempt to read a little more science fiction and fantasy. She does both, but particularly the science fiction. This collection of short stories I'm doing as a buddy read. Thank God, because otherwise I just don't think I could. I don't think I could get through this, it would be painfully slow. So we're reading 5 at a time, although 5 stories, and then we get together and chat about them on FaceTime. So I will tell you though, you guys, every time I get to like a true science fiction story, I just, oh my gosh, like, talk about a fish out of water. I'm really, really struggling with some of the stories in this book. So, yeah, I definitely need to dip my toes into science fiction more often. The writing's beautiful. I mean, she's so articulate and intelligent, and actually really like this edition, she has a little foreword before each story, and I love hearing kind of the context or what she was inspired by. Did freak out at one point. I think she said something like, this was my first like true hardcore science fiction story, and I was like, oh my gosh. So yeah, so I know there's some favorite short stories for some of you in this collection, and I'm excited to get to them. I don't think I have yet. I know there's one that Aaron Read a Book, Aaron Read a Book, mentioned to me. It's near the end of this collection, so I'm really excited to read that. But wow, it's really difficult reading. Like, I never ever expected this to be so challenging. So I'm going to talk to my buddy reader this weekend about the last 5 stories, and then we're going to march on. We have, I don't know, maybe 8 more stories to go. So, I mean, I'm really like, I've got to be halfway. Yeah, we're more than halfway done. But oh yeah, so much more difficult than I thought. I do better with her fantasy stories. Man, the science fiction ones just crushing me. Okay, and then there's my mammoth. So for March of the Mammoths, which if you're not familiar with that event, in March, people are encouraged to read a book that is at least 800 pages long or close to 800 pages long. And just to start it, you don't have to finish it. It's a very low pressure kind of thing, but just to like some extra motivation to tackle some really big books on your shelves. And at the start of the year, I was halfway through this Trollope series. And so in January, I read the 4th book in the series. In February, the 5th book, and this is the 6th and final book in the series, and this is my #1 reading priority for the entire year. So I am very excited to report that I am 500 pages into a 861 page book. I am enjoying it. A few of you who have not loved this one as much as some of the other ones in the series, I kind of can see what might be some of the problems, but overall I'm still, you know, it's just every time I open it, it's just returning to a friend, you know what I mean? I feel so close to some of these characters, and I think that's one of the great things about reading a huge book like this. There are characters from all previous 5 books in this one book, and so we already have all this history with some of them, and then wow, like then there is just there's new characters, and I like some of the new characters. I really do. I really like some of them. Some of them I'm not crazy about, but that's okay. And that's probably true of the previous five books as well. But anytime you read something this big, and you have such a history with the characters already, to just see them again and see how things are going since the last time you saw them, like it's wonderful. It's a wonderful reading experience. So I am on track. If I read 20 pages a day in this, I will have it done by the end of March. I am hoping to get a little bit ahead, and so I am hoping to be done with this before the end of the month, which is really exciting. Really, I can focus more on Ursula the Guin. Anyway, tell me what you guys are reading, if you're doing anything fun this weekend, if you've thought of something else that annoys you about books and publishers and all that kind of stuff, you can tell me that. If you don't feel comfortable leaving a comment, I do understand. You can leave an emoji, and I always appreciate a thumbs up just as a way to say hi. So thank you guys so much. Booktube, remember to be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and I'll be back soon with another video. Bye.